Even though the economy is showing signs of recovery, many Albertans haven't found work since losing their job, or they haven't been able to find suitable work. Bill 209, the Strategies for Unemployed and Underemployed Albertans Act, will provide them with a framework to find jobs. We've seen connectivity propel the success of companies like Benevity in Calgary and BioWare in Edmonton, and the positive economic benefits they bring to their communities. Kids in cities and larger towns are able to do their homework online, at home, while many of their rural peers are limited to times they are at school and equipment that's available. Many people in Indigenous communities must drive far from home just to get a data signal. I'm committed to every Albertan having equal access to opportunities that are enabled by having high-speed internet access, and I look forward to tabling a private member's bill. Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise to introduce an amendment to Bill 21, an act to protect patients. It replaces the 5-year ban from reinstatement upon finding of sexual assault by a professional with a lifetime ban. If passed, the amendment will eliminate the ability of a professional who has been found by their college to have sexually assaulted a patient to reapply to practice in Alberta. I truly believe our job as elected representatives is to be the voice of people who might not be able to speak up, and survivors of sexual assault by medical professionals should be assured unequivocally that the person who offended against them will have no opportunity to assault someone else in those circumstances again. The Client Bill of Rights came about because of conversations in my office with clients who are applying for AISH and appealing decisions from AISH. I think it's important that each of the clients of AISH understand either why they were turned down or how they can go about appealing the process, and they need to know what the standard of service is that they can expect consistently, regardless of what worker they may be working with. And then the second part of the sub-amendment has to do with consultation. And the reason that I wanted to incorporate that into the bill is because what I hear from the PWD community again and again is nothing about us without us. And this entrenches that into the legislation. The bill is a result of a set of extraordinary circumstances, and the situation it seeks to rectify will hopefully be very short-lived. This amendment adds what is commonly referred to as a sunset clause. It means that all provisions in the bill will expire on December 31st, 2022, unless the Legislature extends the bill or or if there's other circumstances. This will provide industry with assurances that the power to arbitrarily dictate to whom and where and when they sell their product will only continue so long as the Legislature approves it to continue. Unlike most minimum wage earners who get to keep most of their minimum wage increases, when minimum wage increases for AISH recipients, it counts against their benefits. When minimum wage increases, those who work face the choice of being able to work and contribute less to their communities or having their government support reduced. In both cases, they lose purchasing power and quality of life as the prices of basic household goods increases due to inflation. While other minimum wage earners at least have a chance of keeping up with inflation, the total maximum of earned and supported income for AISH beneficiaries has not increased since 2012. This amendment would index the amount that an AISH beneficiary can earn to increases in minimum wage so that they do not lose out on purchasing power every time the minimum wage increases. When establishing a hearing tribunal where the subject matter of a hearing relates to a complaint alleging sexual abuse of or sexual misconduct towards a patient by a regulated member, the hearings director must make every reasonable effort to ensure that A, at least one member of the hearing tribunal has the same gender identity as the patient, B, all members of the hearing tribunal have received training on trauma-informed practice and sexual violence and any other training specified by the minister. The rationale behind this is ensuring better decision-making by tribunals when they're hearing cases of sexual abuse or sexual misconduct. Pass-out challenge, knockout game, Space Cowboy, Cloud 9. These are some of the names the choking game is known by. It's a risky practice of self-asphyxiation that many kids engage in, bringing themselves to the brink of passing out, and sadly, some kids suffer brain injuries, and some kids die. In October 2014, at the age of 11, my friend Carrie's son, Bryce Alifson, was playing the game, and she didn't know about it until she discovered him lifeless in his room. Most parents don't know about the choking game. Many school-aged kids do know about the game and probably know someone who's playing it. Sometimes we hear reports of the choking game and deaths in the media, but rarely do we hear about injuries or near misses, or about education or prevention. Deaths from the choking game are often classified as suicide, and Carrie and her partner Malcolm had to push to have their son's death reclassified. It was originally listed as suicide. This amendment makes candidacy more accessible to new participants by addressing the $2,000 pre-campaign fundraising and spending limit proposed in the bill for non-incumbents. This amendment would allow local election authorities to set pre-campaign fundraising and spending limits according to local conditions if they do not find that the default $2,000 limit is appropriate for their circumstances. On the one hand, incumbents in large cities have a huge advantage in using public resources to communicate with electors, which can be worth far more than $2,000. On the other hand, some local positions in remote areas struggle to attract any attention or candidates, so the $2,000 limit may be too high. We also need to consider how many electors must be reached and how they're distributed in a local jurisdiction or ward. Traveling around a large municipality has different costs than canvassing apartments. The amendment I'm proposing is to make references to friend in subsection 78.4 and 78.5 consistent with references to friend or relative in subsection 78.3. And I think, intend to have electors who need assistance to be able to request the help of a friend or relative under subsection 3. Mechanically, if an incapacitated elector chooses to bring a relative to help them vote instead of bringing a friend, we want the elector's relative to be able to make the declaration under subsection 4. With the Act's current wording, only an elector's friend could make the statement.